What if I told you that right now, somewhere in the world, an ant is climbing to the top of a blade of grass, not because it wants to, but because a fungus is pulling its strings like a puppet? What if I told you that a cockroach is being led by its antennae to its own grave, not by a predator, but by a wasp that has literally removed its free will? And what if I told you that 1/3 of the humans on this planet are carrying a brain parasite that might be quietly rewriting their behavior as we speak? Welcome to the terrifying world of real-life zombification. Zombies aren't just the stuff of horror movies. In nature, they're everywhere. Parasites have evolved the ability to hijack the brains and bodies of their victims, turning them into puppets that serve only one purpose: the parasite's survival. These tiny monsters don't just kill their hosts, they control them. They rewrite neurochemistry, steal genes, and force their victims to commit suicide. And the most chilling part? They're all around us. Today, we're diving into the secret life of parasites and meeting nature's most terrifying puppet masters. The horsehair worm, the suicide commander. Number 7 is a worm that forces its host to drown itself. The horsehair worm begins its life in water. To complete its life cycle, it must get inside a terrestrial insect, usually a praying mantis or cricket. The young worm is ingested by the insect, and then it grows, filling the host's abdomen until it's nearly 1 meter long inside a palm-sized insect. But the nightmare doesn't end there. Once the worm is fully grown, it needs to return to water to reproduce. So it does something horrifying. It takes control of the mantis's mind. The worm rewrites the host's brain chemistry, forcing it to seek out water and jump in, drowning itself. The worm then emerges from the corpse and swims away to find a mate. For over a century, scientists were baffled by how these worms achieved this. But in a 2023 study published in Current Biology, researchers made a chilling discovery. The horsehair worm possesses hundreds of genes that allow it to hijack the mantis's movement, and it may have stolen these genes directly from its host. Over 1,400 of the worm's genes closely matched genes from the mantises they parasitize. The worm literally steals genes from its victim to better control its victim's body. It's biological horror at its most sophisticated. But don't worry, horsehair worms are not harmful to humans. They're just nightmares for insects. The emerald cockroach wasp, the brain surgeon. Number 6 doesn't just control its host, it performs brain surgery. The emerald cockroach wasp, also known as the jewel wasp, has one of the most terrifying hunting strategies in the animal kingdom. The female wasp tracks down a cockroach, stings it in the thorax to temporarily paralyze its front legs, and then delivers a second, more precise sting. She inserts her stinger directly into the cockroach's brain, specifically the subesophageal ganglion, and injects venom that removes the roach's free will. The cockroach isn't killed. It isn't paralyzed. It simply loses the ability to initiate its own movement. It becomes a docile, compliant zombie. Then the wasp grabs the roach's antennae and leads it like a dog on a leash to a burrow. She lays a single egg on the roach's body, seals the chamber, and leaves. When the larva hatches, it bores into the still-living cockroach and feeds on its organs, saving the vital ones for last to keep its host alive as long as possible. The wasp has evolved a mind control drug and a methodical brand of brain surgery to deliver it. It's nature's own Manchurian candidate, except it's real. And it's been doing this for millions of years. The zombie ant fungus. The body snatcher. Number 5 is the inspiration for HBO's The Last of Us, the zombie ant fungus, Cordyceps unilateralis. This fungus infects tropical carpenter ants and takes over their bodies. But here's what makes it even more terrifying than the show. The fungus leaves the ant's brain intact. It doesn't need to control the brain, it controls the muscles directly, puppeteering the ant from the outside. The infected ant leaves its colony, climbs to the underside of a leaf, and bites down with a death grip. Then, the fungus erupts from the ant's head, releasing spores that rain down on unsuspecting ants below. The fungus preserves the brain because it needs the ant to navigate to the perfect location for spore dispersal. It's not mind control, it's body control. And it's so precise that researchers have identified specific compounds the fungus secretes to trigger this bizarre possessed behavior. The parasitic ant queen, the usurper. Number 4 is a different kind of zombie maker, one that doesn't just control a single host, but an entire colony. In 2025, researchers discovered a parasitic ant queen that takes over colonies by tricking workers into killing their own mother. The parasitic queen invades a colony of a related species and sprays the resident queen with a chemical thought to be formic acid. This chemical masks the queen's natural scent and makes her smell like a threat. The workers, her own daughters, turn on her, attacking and dismembering their own mother. Then, the parasitic queen lays her own eggs, and the duped workers raise them as their own. As one researcher put it, it's reminiscent of The Walking Dead, where characters smear themselves with walker blood to pass through a horde. The parasitic queen isn't just taking over, she's weaponizing the colony's own instincts against them. Toxoplasma gondii, the human mind controller. Number 3 is a parasite that infects roughly 1/3 of all humans. Toxoplasma gondii is a brain parasite spread by cats. Its life cycle is simple. It reproduces in a cat's gut and needs to get back there to complete its cycle. So, it infects rodents and does something terrifying, it rewires their brains. Infected rodents lose their innate fear of cats. They become attracted to the smell of cat urine. They essentially taunt cats until they're eaten. But here's the chilling part. Toxoplasma can infect humans too. And while scientists haven't proven it controls us the same way, studies have linked infection to increased risk-taking, slower reactions, and even schizophrenia. It's estimated that up to 2 billion people carry this parasite. You could be one of them right now, and you wouldn't even know it. The zombie snail worm, the disco zombie. Number 2 turns snails into pulsating, colorful lures. The flatworm Leucochloridium paradoxum infects snails and takes over their eye stalks, turning them into brightly colored, pulsating worm-like structures that resemble caterpillars. The parasite then forces the snail to climb to exposed, high places in broad daylight. It's essentially turning the snail into a flashing sign that says, "Eat me to passing birds." When a bird eats the infected eye stalk, the parasite completes its life cycle in the bird's gut. And what happens to the snail? It's devoured alive. This parasite doesn't just control its host, it turns it into a beacon of death. Sacculina, the body snatcher crab. Our number 1 is a parasite so extreme, it doesn't just control its host, it transforms it completely. Sacculina is a parasitic barnacle that infects crabs. It enters the crab's body and spreads its roots throughout the host's tissues, absorbing nutrients. But the real horror? It castrates the crab. Then, it forces the male crab to behave like a female, grooming and aerating the parasite's brood as if they were its own babies. The crab becomes a mindless nursemaid for its own destroyer. Sacculina doesn't just control the crab, it erases its identity entirely. These 7 parasites reveal a terrifying truth. We are not always in control. Evolution has produced organisms so sophisticated that they can hijack the minds and bodies of their victims, turning them into puppets. From the horsehair worm that stole its host's genes to the wasp that performs brain surgery, these creatures have perfected the art of control. And when you consider that 1/3 of humans carry a brain parasite, you have to wonder, are we really in control, or are we just another host, serving another master? Which of these zombie makers terrified you most? Have you ever wondered if your behavior is being influenced by something you can't see? Comment below, I want to hear your theories. If you want to explore more of nature's dark secrets, like this video and subscribe. We reveal the hidden world every week. Until next time, remember, you might not be the one in control.